frontier is defined as uncharted territory by land or ocean. Those who chart that territory tell a story. The past illustrates the blueprint for the present, how things are and how they've evolved. From land to water, we are challenged to border that new frontier, a frontier the outdoorsman knows like no other. Author Gary Lewis works his way along that edge of where discoveries, failures, and achievements have written the story of the sportsman.
Yes! Yes!
From state to state, continent to continent, the stories told create the foundation of the present, and they lay the framework for the future. Through the muzzle fire and on the stone are stories from the edge.
Water is the most important thing as far as Indians are concerned, 'cause that's life.
The past is written, the present is here, and this is Frontier Unlimited. "138 miles, from Turin Lake through Soldotna to the tip of Homer Spit, the 5-mile-long sandbar that dead ends in Ketchimak Bay.
They might have a few nice
How many times in life does a person drive a whole length of highway from the first milepost all the way to the last? And how often does it matter? It matters in September, on the Sterling, when silver salmon are in the Kenai. There were 9 in the party, all from Oregon, and to make sure they had a chance to strike silver, Lewis acted on a tip and called Corey Hetrick of Chugach Backcountry Fishing. Lewis said he'd need 3 boats, but what he didn't say is he wanted to fish higher on the Kenai, and he wanted to cast silver-bladed spinners at the aggressive ones. Cast to any school of Coho, and maybe 1 or 2 will turn toward the flash and the pulse and the rhythmic thump of the blade. Often, one will follow, and another will streak up from below to hammer the intruder.
Don't go in first thing in the morning. Don't go in. Hey, Ron.
My dad, Don.
Hey, Dad.
Doing good. I'm Jared. Yeah, pleasure.
Maybe put a coat on, Gary. It's a good run. We're running through the rapids, so not a lot of people get to see the rapids.
This is the Moose River?
Moose River, yep. You can't really see it right now, but this water right here, so here's the Kenai, right, flowing in right here. It is dirty. So we're going up above the tributary that's puking all the mud.
Ah, okay.
So we're getting up into cleaner water.
What tributary is that?
The Keeley. All right, here we go, guys.
More silvers bite on eggs, but in some parts of some rivers, bait is not allowed, and a spinner presented with a measured retrieve and a slow thump in the rod tip will pull the biggest, hardest fighters out of the pod of salmon.
We're always casting towards the shore. Slow retrieve. You want to cast a little bit upstream in this fast current. That way it gives your lure time to kind of sink down. Not a fast retrieve, not too slow because you don't want to bounce off the bottom. You'll find like a medium right there where you just want those blades spinning. What I like to do is I like to have someone up on the bow because these are stable boats.
That would be you.
Okay, all right. Make sure you keep it balanced.
You may be right about your prediction.
I'll warn you if I'm gonna get on the motor. I'll say, hey, hold your balance real
And
quick.
you'll do it before?
Oh yeah, no. Oh, there he goes.
Gary he already wrote the narrative for this, and he said that I fell in the river. Oh,
okay. So Ron and Gary, do a little bit more towards the bank. Shoot for like 10, in between 10:30 and 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And give me 1 second. You see this dark water here?
Yeah.
That's a big gravel bar, and then you see that bluer water on the inside.
Uh-huh.
That's where they're.
That blue water.
That
okay.
blue water. So you want to get it right on the bank. I'm just kind of slowly backing down here real quick. Keep reeling, start reeling. Yep. Nice. There you go. Don't get very slack. So we'll just hold off on the cast real quick. Actually, no, go for it, Gary. Don't try to get a double on this. There's always a good bite for silvers in the morning. That's why we come out early, and then usually later on the day, when the sun comes up, it quiets down big time.
Got him.
We'll try and get pretty strong stuff. Keep reeling down a little more. Oh, he's angry. There we go.
This might be bigger.
So Ron, go ahead and like pull up real quick, a little higher.
Oh yeah! Nice fish.
Okay, watch out here real quick.
Man, that is a beautiful fish. Whoa!
So we'll get situated again, and we'll go back up and kind of make it coordinated. So this fish got hit by a seal at some point in its life, probably on the way out the river. So he's got a couple seal marks
that I wrestled
from
the seal?
Yep. Most likely happened in the river because there's a lot of seals that come up here. Actually, some of them winter in the Kenai. All right, got that?
So spinner fishing is one of my favorite things,
Okay.
and so I was just so happy when I saw you had spinners on the boat.
Well, that's why, it's more fun throwing hardware. I've been doing the whole quick fish thing all August.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, you sit there, they bite it, and you reel it in. We're spinners, you're active, you're moving. So go ahead and got that, and I got a...
Hey, nice fish. Caught this one on a spinner, blue fox spinner.
Blue fox.
And it was a blue fox spinner, number 4. Cranking it in slow, where that blade is just thump.
Yep, there's a pot of them in there right now, and it's been quiet all morning. They haven't seen anything yet, so hopefully there's some more biters in there. I see the other boat. Aaron's got a fish on too, way up there. Okay,
all right.
I got it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pop the gilt, takes all the blood out of the meat. Okay. There we go. Now we're in the money. All right, we're in the zone there. Fish on. No? You sure? No, that's a fish.
There he goes.
Hang on there, guys. We'll swing the boat here real quick. That's a good chromer right there.
Oh, man.
They took the first 2 fish from the top of the run, then pulled the third from the midsection, tempting the aggressive biters from the pack.
Sorry.
Heavy net. Nice. We got one. It looks like that eagle got one right there too.
Oh, yeah.
When you don't feel those blades spinning,
Yeah,
just hook.
just said it.
You know what I mean? Because that's what happens because they're going after it, right?
All right.
So they're chasing it and they bite it and they're still swimming with it. And that's why you're like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah. Drop your rod tip a little.
Nice female.
Yep. Do you like standing up front?
Yeah. It's been pretty good so far. I don't know, maybe Oscar. That sounds like a big fish name. Yeah, the first one just nailed it, grabbed it, and took off, and this guy just kind of took a hold of it. I thought I had a snag.
I watched where you hit it. He followed it right to the edge where that gravel bar was, and that's when you went, oh, I think I got a snag. I said, no, you got a fish on. Oh, there's a jumper right there.
It was a great snag. I'll take that snag any day.
Man, we have found some biters, and we're fishing spinners, and this is one of my favorite techniques. I didn't know we were going to be doing that today, but yeah, I love it.
I'm gonna sit this one out for a few minutes.
Oh, top there.
Make sure you hold your balance there. I want to run some little pink hot shots through
Oh,
here,
yeah.
if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I've been like thinking about it.
Let's
and
do
I
that.
haven't done it. So.
Oh, geez.
Nice. Good job.
Everyone.
They're still bright. You know, here in another 2 weeks, they're gonna start turning colors, and you know, we want them while they're nice and fresh.
He just hammered it.
He did.
Bring him in.
Big buck. Look at that.
Yeah, and
Ripped the
the hook just came right out.
Great tension. Good bite.
Beautiful. Beautiful. This one still has sea lice, and so he's probably been here in the fresh water for 6 days or less. And that stuff will start falling off when they come into fresh water.
We're just now kind of coming right down into the sweet spot. There we go.
Am I under him?
Yep.
Oh, I am
There you
under
go.
him.
You should be all right.
I got a fish. Yeah. This is 3, and we've only been fishing for about 20 minutes. 3 for me. Here come! Excellent, beautiful fish. Coho are my favorite salmon. That's why we come to Soldotna in September. That's what they look like with our favorite lipstick. Oh, that would be my limit.
They drifted back with the current at about a speed of a fast walk.
Pretty fast 3 salmon for me. That's what you're doing wrong right there.
Whoa! This is a fish.
That's a little one, yeah.
This guy is strong. Look at him.
He's a small one, but I think you'll like him.
It was great. That was the strongest fish yet. He was kind of like the first one, or the second one rather, and he was a good fighter. I think I'll keep him.
If I ever catch one, I want to keep it too.
Hold your balance up there, Ron. Okay, little juice on the motor.
Yeah, did you want some advice? Was that what you were hoping for?
This is our opportunity to be really good. If you haven't caught a fish, everybody tells you what to do.
Press the bail. Yep, you can flip it out and then let the current take it down.
And I'm ready anytime, Gary.
Every now and then, maybe give it a little, just a little.
Yeah, this is really shallow in here, isn't it? You had a hit though?
Yeah,
Got him.
I did. I had a hit. I felt like I had a hit.
After Balash and Lewis had several, Lewis rigged a rod for his dad with a metallic pink tiger hotshot. It was a matter of a couple of passes through the same tight spot to find another bite.
Silvers swim up here all the way through December. And we catch them up here in March and April when we're fishing for trout. You'll always see 5 or 6 fish left. So they come up to Kenai real late in the season.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's go cast some spinners somewhere else, huh?
Yeah.
We'll leave those fish alone.
Yeah.
You're gonna want a little faster retrieve. There's a lot of grass down here, so you don't want to be bumping on the bottom,
Okay,
or else it's
yeah,
gonna muck
yeah.
up your lure. So
Yeah.
as soon as it hits the water, just try to start your retrieve right away. It doesn't have to be really, really fast. Just you'll know when you bring it in if you got a bunch of grass on it. You'll want to just kind of retrieve it on the next one a little bit faster. So.
Okay.
So Corey, when I come up here, I usually come in September, and the water is usually like this. It's been raining and it's up and colored But I appreciated what you did. You had us come at a spot where we could run upriver and get above the cloudy water where the Kenai has more clarity. And what are you thinking as you're putting a trip like this together?
Well, you know, the silvers have been fishing really well down on the lower Kenai, so it's the lower 42 miles of the river. A lot of fish coming in fresh in the tides, and that's where we've been focusing most of our times because they're fresh fish, they're hot. Water got dirty 3 days ago. There's a tributary that flows in right on the Kenai Keys area, so River Mile 45. And from all the rain and all the wind we've had, the Kili Mountains, which are kind of back in this area, it takes a couple days for all that rain to kind of flush out, and it picks up a lot of mud and a lot of debris. And basically when that happens, the Kili, we call it the Kili puked, and it's pouring straight mud into the Kenai. So from there on down, it's tough to fish in water that's really dirty.
And you can see that divide.
You can.
When we came up the river,
Yep, so, you know, there's, luckily later on in the season, a lot of silvers are starting to kind of stack up here and getting ready to spawn. So basically, you know, when people want silvers, we try and take them to the best spot. Luckily, later on in the season, a lot of silvers are starting to kind of stack up here and getting ready to spawn. So basically, you know, when people want silvers, we try and take them to the best spot. You know, the lower Kenai, what we do is we sit on anchor and you throw out a quick fish wrapped with a sardine and you wait for them to come to you. Up here, it's a little nicer because we try and go find them. So you get to see more of the river, you get to spend more time actually casting. You're not just sitting there waiting for one to bite. So it makes it a little bit more enjoyable. It's more of a fishing experience for most people, you know. So it's nice up here. Pushing 16 to 18 pounds every now and then, you know. But average 10 to 12 pounds this time of year. They're all good fish. They all eat the same. Even when people say I caught a small one, I say it's all right. They all taste good.
Yeah.
Yep. Just be happy that you got one. You know, there's a lot of guys that come up here at just the wrong time of the year. They just time it wrong and don't get to hit them when they're coming in. You know.
Picking up grass over there. It's a little shallow. Probably a spot where you can't fish when the water's lower. We know there's silvers in there.
So these guys have swam up 50 miles already and they're dying bright, but most of these fish I'm sure came in within the past week that are up here. Second run fish start coming in late August is when we start seeing some of the bigger second run fish come in. The first runners are a little smaller, you know, like 5 to 8 pounds, and they'll start coming in end of July.
Catch a rainbow up to 20 pounds in this section of the river, and so that's why when I was talking to Corey setting this trip up, he said we would fish this section of the river for the big rainbows.
Long leaders. This one's got a double dropper rig set up. You want your corky floating as natural on the water as possible. I try and float at the same exact speed as the river, but sometimes when the wind's blowing and there's different eddies and, you know, whirlpools, it'll pull your corky downriver. So right now you can see how it's kind of pulling down on the corky. Well, it's bringing the beads up off the bottom. So what you want to do is just give it a recast. So try and get that corky closer to the tip of the pole. Just give it one nice little flip back upstream. Anytime your corky goes down, okay, see right now that's bobbing on the bottom. That's what you want. You want them down there acting like an egg, right? A lot of little ones, they're all hungry. This is a Dolly Varden. So there you go.
How long is it though, just for the record?
This is like 8 inches.
8 inches, Dad.
We'll get a bigger one. We'll get a bigger one.
Guy who gets the biggest Dolly Varden, I buy him a fly rod.
There we go. That one hit the sockeye bead. We've got a king bead on there and then a sockeye bead. It grabs the hook and I push down on it and drops it right back in the water. That way you don't really have to touch many of the fish. And here we go. That's the rig right there. There we go. There's a double. If they're worthy of the net, I'll put them in the net. I was looking at your...
That's nice, Dad. What you doing, Ron? There. Hold it up. These Dolly Varden are just voracious. They eat the spawn and they eat the flesh of the spawned out fish. They eat the fry too, the salmon smolts as they're running down to the ocean. And so they're a great fish. I love these things. They're named after a character out of a Charles Dickens novel, Dolly Varden. And dollies will run to the ocean as well.
The crew drifted the flats with beads and flies and indicators. The trout ranged from well-fed 10 inches up to 19 inches. The best thing a traveling angler can do is to stop at the nearest fly shop or sporting goods store and pick the brain of a trout angler behind the counter. What worked in July might not produce in August or September, and by October, the fish look for silver spawn. The streams that feed the Kenai or pour into Cook Inlet all offer opportunities for prospecting for silvers or chasing down rainbows. How many times in life does a person drive a whole length of highway from the first milepost all the way to the last? And how often does it matter? It matters in September, on the Sterling, when silver salmon are in the Kenai.
Jeez.